Sideline of ball. Lakewood's doing it. They're gonna take. He's gonna bring down Bernie. Alone with a double kill. Dropping fast. Monopoint's there. He's still alive. Wait, oh, second slide. He's going one side. He's going a second. He's taking it. Oh my God! On three. They're all dead.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We've got our third game of the day for the Summit 2 by G2A.com European Division Day 3. I'm Sayori, joined once again by Blaze, and we've got Team Tinker for their second game of this round robin up against Moscow5. Had a little bit of a slow poke loading in. PGG DC'd, but don't worry. Please go game. Lived up to his name. We're ready to hop into this draft. Blaze, what an epic game to follow. Can Moscow5 follow that act, man?
I don't know. That was absolutely incredible. Just the way Team Tinker played it. Honestly, I loved how VP Polar played it as well, but it just... The strat that came out from Team Tinker was so inspired, so well put together, and just worked perfectly with what they were trying to accomplish. I mean, they put a lot of eggs in one basket, but yeah, that hatched a dinosaur there. That was just absolutely incredible.
Yes, it certainly did. Bulbasaur popped out and... made it rain fireballs all over that enemy team. Well,
there you go. And now we go into this next one. Don't even know what to say here. We see the EGM Wisp is banned out. The relocate aspect wasn't really that instrumental to Team Tinker's strategy. It was really just the overcharge and the increased movement and attack speed for the bear, as well as some extra durability there, kind of nullifying the Mask of Madness effect. But in this case, they don't want to give it for whatever strat. The Tiny Wisp strat, the Lone Druid Wisp strat, they take it out along with the Razor. So Team Tinker, they pick up the Terrorblade, the Brewmaster. They've got the Sables, they've got damage, they've got push. Moscow5, they have a tough set of heroes to go up against, but I think they have the right idea here. Going for Silence, going for Magical Nuke, that's what's going to bring these two guys down.
Yep, absolutely. So pretty standard stuff from Moscow5 to get things started. We've seen a lot of Death Prophet play. Sure, she got nerfed a little bit, but she's pretty much as strong as ever for the most part, and still able to do a lot of damage and scale towards that late game. Terrorblade has been kind of picked up intermittently. We've seen a lot of games where he's just been completely ignored, some teams seeming to prioritize him a bit more than others. I'm kind of curious how Team Tinker will build him. The Radiance is that big point of contention where some teams seem to love it and some teams seem to hate it. I know one David Parker is a big naysayer towards the Radiant Shadowblade, or pardon me, Terrorblade. Blaze.
They lasted a little bit longer.
Uh-oh. Internet problems. Blaze, you still there?
I am. But
oh, there we go. Okay. Skype just had a little poo-poo. All right, we're good.
Okay. So anyways, yeah, the Terrorblade illusions don't last all that long. It's not bad, 32 seconds, but it's definitely not as long as the Naga Sirens illusions. You can't spread the map as much with them. And honestly, it just doesn't need it. Like, if you go for stat-based items, you can still do so much work with this hero. And the Radiance... I could say there's a timing window where it would be a good option, but most TPs won't hit that window, and it's probably just better to go for a battle build by point of comparison. But no matter the case, he can really pack a punch. He can deal with the physical damage coming from Death Prophet very nicely, and yeah, they're going to have a really good strength at the team fight. And the big thing about that is that Terrorblade wants to avoid the team fights. If he plays the kind of Eternal Envy style, avoid conflict, spread the map, Brewmaster, Sand King, and the other two can just create space, create opportunities, and still dominate with their really powerful teamfight abilities.
Yeah, the Sand King's a good addition there for sure, and we'll be able to work the jungle quite a bit. So good, just efficient farmers for sure. Moscow5, where do they go from here? A very open-ended draft. They've got a great lane support in that Skywrath Mage, and they'll pick up the Treant Protector here. Interesting choice. Pretty good so far. Team Tinker don't really have anything in the way of the DOT department. I guess the Fire Panda will have a little bit of immolation to cut through that living armor, but all things considered, a pretty good game for it, especially in the push department. Team Tinker do not have much in the way of flash pushing, at least not yet.
Yep, so right now I think that's going to be a good counter to the Terrorblade for the early game. Later on, his Metamorphosis, he's going to be able to just tear through it anyways, will damage block or not, but at least for a short time span, it might at least force Team Tinker to draft a little bit differently. They could consider a Jakiro pickup here. They won't consider the Dragonite, which is the other major counter I see to living armor. As well, the Leshrac probably isn't the best idea because a Burrow Strike and the can't even remember the name of the spell actually. Reflection are very short-ranged abilities early on, and the Split Earth generally requires the setup. So I think that if they're gonna be going for hard push, they need to pick up a Jakiro. If not, they can just kind of deal with it because honestly, as the game progresses, the big aspect of Treant Protector is going to be that overgrowth, which is nullified by Terrorblade's Manta style.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And maybe just looking to get off to a very aggressive start because Terrorblade is one of those very weak heroes early on. Very low HP pool, so Treant with boots first, a little bit of Leech Seed action coming out. They could try to give him a run for his money in lane, especially with a Skywrath Mage there to follow up with either a Concussive or some Arcane Bolts for damage. Could see him as just sort of a lane dominator, some of that PPD style to boot. But Team Tinker, they pick up a Sing Sing Classic. That's the Mirana. And a hero that Pycat's pretty well versed with also. But going to have some arrows flying through to help out with that Sand King. More team fight for Moscow5 as they grab the Watermelon. That's Mr. Tidehunter to set things up with that big Ravage.
Yeah, they're really oriented around the team fight here. They have a lot of potential to hold their own with Ravage, with Overgrowth. I'm trying to think of how else they'll follow through with this. They need, I guess, a carry hero that can take advantage of those intervals where the enemy can't attack, but also one that comes online a little bit sooner rather than later. Because honestly, you're going to be under some pressure here with the Terrorblade Brewmaster Mirana. You don't want to be just like a hard farming Spectre that isn't going to be relevant until 20 plus minutes into the game. So you have to go for a more early game oriented build for whatever carry you go for. And as well, it should be a hero that can at least come online in some capacity in the earlier stages while still scaling pretty well. I like Morphling in general in that kind of situation because you get the Replicate to get either the Brewmaster or Terrorblade Illusion. Both are really good. And then, of course, you also have a good Magical Burst nuke to follow through with behind the Skywrath. But no matter what they go with here, they definitely need to look at the tempo of the game and take that under careful consideration.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that, as Team Tinker will ban out the Viper with their final choice. I guess they had no interest in picking it up, but would have been a pretty good damage over time hero to cut through that living armor. But it just seems Team Tinker are really not too concerned with it.
Vigos plays a lot of Viper too, and if they were looking at safe laning the Death Prophet, maybe that was an option for them.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Shadow Demon, the final ban for Moscow5. Assuming it will be a core Mirana, and taking out that easy setup for the arrows with the Disruption. I do like that choice. And also a lot of defensive capabilities there. Every so often you can get off a key Disruption. Defensively, that is, against a Ravage, and, well, it can make things a little more difficult for old Tidehunter. So we'll see what Team Tinker do. They've got plenty of bonus time, though. Still a minute left of reserve to decide how they want to finish off this draft and choose their fifth hero.
Yeah, we'll see. They're obviously got plenty of time here, but their options are essentially to run Sing Sing's off-lane Mirana. They could be looking at having a support Mirana for Bulba. I'm not sure exactly what they want to do with it, but the important thing here is if they're able to get kind of a semi-carry role on this Mirana at the very least, which I guess if you farm harder on the Mirana support or you are just relevant in the mid-game for your offlane Mirana, you're going to be able to get a nice spread of wealth there. So their final pickup here could have been the Shadow Demon to set up the Sand King, and that would have obviously worked for the offlane Mirana. But otherwise, I'm trying to think of a good hero that will just really guaranteed set up the Sand King. And I mean, there aren't that many that are ranged heroes and are very appropriate. So they don't even bother with the setup. They say, Sand King, set yourself up, get some booties on you, and you'll be able to accomplish quite a bit.
Yeah, Sand King, you'll be doing this setting up for us. Maybe it's also a sign that they'll just prioritize more of Sand King's farm in the jungle in the early stage and not get too upset with him roaming around setting up kills and just create some space for him almost, let him get his stacks and look towards that 9-10 minute Blink Dagger, then start controlling the tempos. And at that point, he doesn't really need the setup nearly as much. But Ancient Apparition, great hero against the Treant Protector, of course, nullifying the heal from the living armor. Also great against Death Prophet. We always talk about how Burst is good to bring her down, stopping the regeneration, and just taking that Shatter Threshold into effect. Definitely makes her life a bit more difficult. But here we go. Moscow5 with, I think, a pretty smart pick here. They'll grab the Weaver, and not a huge amount of lockdown on the side of Team Tinker, nor any silence. So Blow Your Brain should have a pretty good time moving around with that Shikuchi, and will probably give Team Tinker at least a little bit of irritation throughout that mid-game.
Yeah, I think that is the best pick here, guaranteed. Like you can actually time lapse through the ice blast. You can, if you get hit by the Sunder, that takes your health pool down very quickly. Then you're able to time lapse that back. A Lincoln Sphere is great against a lot of these heroes, so I'm looking to see that most likely as the first major item as many Weavers go. And I just think that there's no better way to make that happen than with this hero. Like has some great scalability if he goes for something like crit as a third item. The Gemini attack can now proc that, and that's really cool. And in general, it's a hero that can actually be involved in the earlier fights, as I was mentioning. Like he still needs to scale, and he still needs some survivability, but he has to get involved. He can't just kind of sit back and farm. So Weaver has a best of both worlds aspect, and I really love that pick.
Yeah, me too. So we'll have a pause to get things started. Okay, just a quick one here, and we'll be able to hop back into it. We'll introduce some rosters at that. On the Radiant side, we'll have Team Moscow5. They've been off to a pretty good start in the Summit EU group stage, but still have a while to go. A lot of games ahead of them. Could certainly take a win here. Tritata will take the Death Prophet mid. This is also Vigas, as most people probably know him. Blow Your Brain will take point on the Weaver, and it looks like they could be starting off with an aggro try. King R will take the Skywrath Mage, and that puts PGG, Please Go Game, on the Treant Protector. It will be Tron on the Tidehunter, and he'll walk his way down to the bottom, so he'll have some safe lane farm, and they will try to interrupt the farm of Team Tinker and secure some for their Weaver simultaneously. Now on the Dire side, we've got Team Tinker, the fan favorites here. We'll be Sing Sing headed mid on the Brewmaster. In the safe lane, that puts Koikva on the Terrorblade. He'll be joined by EGM on the Sand King. Undoubtedly, we'll be finding a lot of farm in the jungle. Bulba will be supporting on the Ancient Apparition, and that leaves us with Pycat in the off lane on the Mirana. No invade from Moscow5, no wards to block the big camps here, so Sand King should have plenty of neutrals to work with in terms of his early farm.
Yeah, still should be able to block off the pole camp. So if, though the Sand King might be getting some nice farm, the Ancient Apparition will have to probably leech some stacks or help out a lot more on the mid lane to actually get some good independent experience. But either way, Bubble will find what he can. For now, it's going to be Pycat on the off lane. Unfortunately, no shoot arrow, hit arrow tactics from Sig Sing, but we'll just have to check out his perfect micro skills. In the meantime, of course, Pycat, he can take some lessons. He can duel with Tron pretty well in the bottom lane. Like, he's not going to do that much damage because of the early Stout Shield, but in the end, he's still going to be able to get some decent CS here.
Yeah, Big Leafy Tree does go boots first. Still hasn't skilled up anything yet. Looking for a Leech Seed perhaps, and will rotate up top. Put some pressure on this lane. Bulba did pick up that initial invisibility rune, stalking him down. They know the Treant is coming. EGM, however, walks right into it, takes a Leech Seed, but follow-up damage won't be there. EGM should be able to survive this one. Will turn with the Burrow Strike. Bulba throwing in some auto attacks. Still hasn't skilled anything up himself. No Chilling Touch. And everyone will survive that initial bout of damage exchanging. Meanwhile, in the lane, Blow Your Brain did take some decent damage from Koikva, did go Metamorphosis level 1, and is utilizing that ranged mechanic to find some additional farm.
Yep, so right now we're going to see some decent damage coming into Terrorblade already, but it is going to be hard to actually kill him off. He does start here with 10 armor thanks to the Ring of Protection, and yeah, they're going to have to put a lot of damage out from the Skywrath to actually be able to net the kills here. He did go for the early Metamorphosis to CS and kind of trade back and forth hits, but now that it's expired, I would say right now Team Tinker are at their weakest, especially in this top lane. Like, the Sand King can only do so much. If he Burrow Strikes to commit to a fight, he could easily be the target of choice, and yeah, the Chilling Touch is really good, but these are two melee heroes. They're not going to get much benefit out of that either.
Yeah. Well, pull will be interrupted here. Koikva leeching some experience, finding the last hit on the Wild Wing Ripper there. Times it pretty nicely, and we'll find a pretty penny for his struggles here as they get repelled. Terrorblade and Weaver both farming pretty evenly, a little bit less than ideal, but that's to be expected in a try-on-try type scenario. 2-minute rune comes out. It will be the Treant to walk by the regen up at the top. May secure it for the Death Prophet, but may just pick it up himself. We'll see what Vigas does. There you go. He'll throw one more Crypt Swarm. Goes to grab it, and Sing Sing will head bottom, gets the bounty rune to fill up his bottle. How's the exchange down in the bottom lane? Tron actually getting very good farm here. Pycat struggling a little bit as the Anchor Smash is kind of zoning him out. Tron 10-5 versus the 3-3 Pycat, who is going for an interesting build here, maxing out the Starstorm. No points in Arrow or Leap, though he is holding on to a skill point.
Yeah, right now just kind of deciding what he needs. Maybe there's a TP rotation and he gets gushed. When you look at the items of a Tide, if you see a Stout Shield on their inventory, there's a good chance they're looking at a before level 6 pointing Gosh. We do see up top the Leechu will come out, Bloody Brain will connect with the Shikuchi, so there's a lot of damage coming the way of Koikwa. He will go try to juke in the trees, but in the end, can't get out. The roaming supports from Team Tinker leave him high and dry, and that's going to be your first blood.
Yeah, King R on the Skywrath Mage gets the bout of bonus gold, but Koikva off to a slow start. We'll see if Tinker can find a Vengeance kill as the two supports are smoked up, headed bottom. Sand King level 1, as is the Ancient Apparition. He did grab the Chilling Touch, but it's the same problem where Sand King is a melee hero, not going to be right-clicking too hard. Tron will break the smoke, and even just rotating on a Tidehunter seems like a very odd proposition, as he's just damn tanky. Almost 800 hit points already with the Stout Shield, plus the, well, now grabs the second point in Kraken. That's interesting. That just basically negates the Stout Shield completely. I guess he got a little value out of it in the first 3 minutes, but now it's basically a wasted item slot.
And he's still got plenty of regen. Like, he's got a stab and 4 tangos. He probably could have gone without the Stout Shield. Honestly, there are some players that just don't know how badly Kraken Shield completely renders the Stout Shield obsolete. Now we're going to see the flank go. They're actually kind of rotated for this aggro try. They wanted to dodge the try, and they're going to get some real big damage on the Tide, and might just bring him down. Yeah,
great path blocking from EGM. The Chilling Touch doing a lot of work, but he's just too damn tanky. He lives. Now King R comes in, brings down the Sand King. Salve up onto Tron. He will get hit by the clap from Sing Sing, but they can't find him. He's tucked back in the tree line. Koifa cutting down the trees, trying to make it happen. Tron, the jukes! The jukes plays! He might actually live! Hastrun on Sing Sing. He's trying to find him as desperately as he can. He instead finds King R, will crit him to the face, but now PGG comes in, brings down the Ancient Apparition, and it's a 2-for-1 going the way of Moscow5. Tidehunter may have been a little derpy with his Stout Shield, 2 points in Kraken Shell, but you can't deny the footwork in the trees as Tron lives to tell the tale.
Yeah,
wow.
That's absolutely insane there. Just getting that kind of turned around there. And another Metamorphosis committed. This is where the timing intervals where Team Tinker are supposed to be dominating in the lanes. They use the Metamorphosis to find a little bit of CS for his first round, and then at level 3, level 4, he's going to use his second round of Metamorphosis to find a kill. And there is a kill acquired, and there's an assist for Koikva, but at a severe cost. It's still a level 1 Ancient Apparition, barely level 2.5 Sand King. They don't really have a great approach here. And as you mentioned when we saw the Weaver pick come out, they don't have great control for him.
Yeah. Blow Your Brain almost gets hit by an arrow up top. That was a pretty damn close call as he just barely Shikuchis to dodge it. And that whole time, man, he was just racking up free farm. He's the #1 leader right now in terms of last hits, 28-6. Doing very well compared to whoever the position 1 is. It was the Terrorblade, but he is only 10-2 with all these rotations. Pycat now taking some safe lane farm and sitting 15-5 and actually out-farming that of the Terrorblade. So Koikva will rotate towards the off lane, and now it will be a safe lane try with Pycat picking up the bulk of the farm. But Team Tinker starting off at a pretty big deficit already. 2,000 gold, 1,500 experience going the way of Moscow5 as they camp out the runes. Will grab the bounty down bottom, and the double damage will get picked up by Sing Sing to fill up his bottle.
Yeah. I definitely still would evaluate Koikva as the #1 position. It's just that it's kind of a failed #1. Like, this early game has not panned out for him, and he's going to have to take a 10-minute break here for him to actually catch up on his farm. I mean, I wouldn't say as much that he has to go for like a comeback Midas or something, but he definitely needs something to happen. And right now, it's going to be Team Tinker that try to draw forces away from the bottom lane, away from Koikva. So he's rotating again. Holy crap, can he even choose a lane, man? It's just, he doesn't have a good lane situation no matter where he goes. He goes bottom, the Anger Smash nullifies the CS unless he's in Metamorphosis. He goes top, he's under pressure from that aggro try. It looks like he might even consider the jungle. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you can find some farm in the jungle. It's possible, but it's just very slow, and you're so susceptible. The other problem with this is it takes farm away from the Sand King. This is where Sand King would love to be getting up some stacks and farm himself. Looks like he will do it here as he gets a double stack here on this medium camp. But that'll slow down the blink timing on the Sand King, which means their tempos won't be controlled quite so well. We're 7 minutes in. He's only 700 gold towards it. So Sand King's farm in general is a bit lackluster as these initial rotations did not yield much for him as he's sitting 0-1 and 0. Weaver boots Aquila, and Ring of Health up already. We'll just be keeping it steady and probably moving into a quick Lincolns.
Now, it's worth noting that Team Tinker are kind of building up a reputation as comeback kings here. They actually have done marvelous things in the mid to late game that have put them back on the map in games that seemed lost. So I'm curious if we're going to have that opportunity, as this is about as bad as a laning phase can get for a team of this caliber. This is really, really weak, but EGM will eventually have that Blink Dagger. They'll buy time Terrorblade. He's about like 4 minutes behind at least, but It's 8 minutes in. The game is not yet decided, and I think with some good movement from Mirana and Sand King once the Blink Dagger is acquired, they might still be able to pull this one out. So we'll see Moscow 5. They have to kind of snowball their momentum right now. They have the Ravage up and available, no Gush, and still holding on to that Stout Shield for some reason. But in the end, it's still some real damage output potential from him, King R, PGG, as long as they collaborate together.
Yeah, just doing it stylish, you know, keeping that Stout Shield as a little trophy, a relic of what could have been. But Tron, he's found a lot of good farm himself. Just looking at the CS chart, the 3 cores of the Radiant side are at the top. PGG, he'll get caught off guard here way in deep. Not really sure what he was doing up there, but will be a freebie going the way of Team Tinker, and Bulba will get credit for that one.
Yeah, maybe looking to collaborate a little bit too deep, but, you know, they're still going to be in an okay position even at that cost. But, yeah, I don't really have a good way of explaining that one away. We're going to see some good damage coming down up on the top tier 1. Aquila active, Blow Your Brain, geminating on this tower, and he does have the survivability enhancer of this living armor if he's ever pressured away from it. But Koikwa does have a point of reflection. If you get too close to this guy, he is going to make you pay. Burrow Strike's going to start this off, and they might have a kill chance here.
Yeah, PGG does not have the Nature's Guise. Needs to be a little careful, taking a lot of damage, and the clicks from the Terrorblade will be enough. Moonlight Shadow deployed to ensure that they could have escaped if need be. And it will be all tied up 3-3 now as Team Tinker making a bit of a recovery as Moscow5 getting a little bit sloppy, as they say. Blow Your Brain will rotate towards the mid lane, and this is the big item pickup that Team Tinker needed. Sing Sing's the one that's been farming the best on his team and has a 9-minute Blink Dagger. Great news there, and he'll be able to control these tempos a bit as he goes right in on Tritada mid. Will get off the split. Arrow connects on the DP. Boulder to follow up, and they'll find an easy kill on the Vigas. Trying to TP out, bit ambitious there, Blaze.
Yeah, and I really think this Titaners should start getting involved. Like, if they're going to push a tower, have him behind. He's not accomplishing anything here, just kind of right-clicking creeps on the bottom lane. If you want to force an issue, do it intelligently. Do it with the reliable team fight behind it. But right now, it's going to be Koika up top. We'll go for the TP, but the Ravage is committed to secure this kill.
Yeah, and a worthy Ravage at that. They know that this Terrorblade has been shut down hard, finding a little bit of recovery. They want to make sure they make his road to recovery as painful as possible. And now they will press forward, looking to perhaps take out this Tier 1 tower in the top. There is a Dire Glyph available, so it won't be the easiest push, and they could try to mount the defense, but Weaver's down bottom. The rotations have been on point, and finding ways just to maximize the farm around the map, still holding on to the leading farming slots. As Sing Sing comes down, Thunderclap on to Blow Your Brain, but he will just Shikuchi back to safety.
Now, I will note that the Weaver doesn't seem to have that many items considering how free his early game was. Like, right now, Ring of Health, Aquila, Boots, it's not bad, but, like, he could be top of the CS charts by, like, 10. He could be... Okay, he's going to buy out the Treads. I mean, that's not bad, but... Like, I really feel like he could be at, like, 75, 80 CS if he was really committed to it. But right now, BYB, he's made a few rotations of his own, and as a result, he's not getting that much income. We do see the Tier 1 tower coming down, and that is going to obviously fuel him a little bit further, but he really would like a better time Lincoln than what he's seeing right now.
Yeah. Now, all that farming that Tron did will start to pay off, or it has paid off, rather, as he's now 11.5 minutes in with a Blink Dagger coming on the Courier. Nice deny from Bulba onto the Tier 1 tower mid, but Pycat gets Silence Mystic Flare, almost enough to bring him down, but 45 hit points to spare. He will live and will leap his way back to safety. So almost a freebie there for Moscow5 as their Tier 1 tower push gets denied. Good plays from Team Tinker all around, minimizing their losses. And, or the other team's gain, I guess, is the appropriate way to say it. But a 3,000 gold, 1,000 experience edge, still holding steady for Moscow5.
So we are going to be seeing a little bit of free time for Koikva to come back a little bit. Because they have the Tier 1 tower taken care of up top, they don't really have a reason to hang out on the western side of the jungle. So that's where Koikva is going to find some farm for now. And Moscow5 are just going to kind of look to group together to take advantage of their ultimates. Got a couple null tallies up on the Skywrath. Got the Ravage coming back up in 25 seconds. They're in a position where they can definitely find some kills, but right now the one on the hunt is Sing Sing. He's got this Invis Rune. I think they saw him pick it up, but even still, he's kind of stalking prey and could easily catch somebody off guard with a quick clap and crit.
Yep. Will have a bit of duration left on it. Sees PGG rotate over, but there's a lot of support inbound. He goes hard, though. Clap on 2, goes right for King R. Boulder toss, arrow to follow up from downtown. Pycat picks up the kill. Now they'll continue to press forward. Pycat leaps over the tree line, And does have a pretty much max damage build right now with the capped out Starstorm, 3 points in the Sacred Arrow. He is pretty eager to fight and put that bundle to good use. Will not be able to find any follow-up kills, but still a nice gank for Team Tinker. And again, these little pickoffs are slowly but surely bringing them back into this game. Experience graph now zeroed out, and the gold lead basically just a result of these Tier 1 towers that have gone down so quickly. Dire will use a glyph, but bottom Tier 1 tower still falls. No deny comes out, but in comes EGM with a stun on 2. Arrow will be off the mark, but Tron has a Ravage, connects on both Pycat and EGM, secures the kill onto the Sand King. Now Sing Sing and Pycat on the run. There's the Moonlight Shadow used, and that will be enough to repel the forces of Moscow5, but they still get a tower and a freebie on Sand King, pushing the graphs back in their favor. Down near the bottom rune, King R will get left behind and caught unaware with that Moonlight Shadow.
Yeah, just gets the blink on top of him. I think he had the timing to get the Ancient Seal off on Sing Sing, but just didn't have the reaction, didn't see that coming, and as a result, Sing Sing is able to get the slow, get the attack off. Yeah, he's had some issues with Fog of War recently, like the Wind Pandas could have accomplished a little bit more with his last split, but in the end, daytime is just on the other side of the clock, and soon enough they'll be able to kind of make movements more actively because they'll have the vision. They'll be able to actually get the jump with and use these ultimates, but they're not going to rest in their laurels just yet. They've got an Ice Blast and an Epicenter. They want to make use of it mid.
Yeah, Epicenter used straight away, right on to Blow Your Brain. They connect with the stun. The Ice Blast will not even be needed. EGM secures the kill, and I was just about to say, all this time pushing the towers, it's just been space created for the Weaver, who's been free farming, but a much-needed kill there. He's pulling up for that ultimate orb, a great time to secure the gank. He'll lose a bout of unreliable gold there, and that slows down that linking timing. So good use of the Epicenter, and a much-needed kill on the Weaver secured. Pycat down bottom, low on mana. PGG kind of scouting him out here, thinking about his options. There's a rotation from King R, but not going to find an opening and won't be able to go for it.
So Korka will be able to pick up the Drums of Endurance at a decent time here. 15 minutes is definitely not the ideal time, but he had such a rough start that anything that he can get is going to be okay. We're going to see PGG actually get hit by a short-range arrow and take some damage, but in the end not going to have much come of it, and he'll probably just living armor himself back up to nearly full HP.
Yeah, Tritada has now picked up his Yule Scepter on the DP, and Tron, no item progression following that Blink Dagger, but down bottom. I thought a fight was going to break out up top as well as King R will survive just long enough. Jukes the arrow, Sing Sing diving it, trying to make it happen. We'll check in on up top is Tron and Tritada going hard. The Ravage coming up in about 15 seconds, but the Exorcism has been used. Skywrath and Treant both got killed down bottom. Sand King will die in the top. And Weaver, wow, he's getting aggressive here, zoning him out as Vigas throws out the Crypt Swarm, clears up the Creep Wave, and they will start chunking into this Tier 2 tower. So it's a 1-for-2 across the map. Only support's getting killed, but if M5 can secure a Tier 2 tower kill out of this, that will certainly tip the scales. The ultimate from DP just about to expire. May heal him up just in the nick of time. Yules comes out. All the ghosts come right back to him. The split is used by Sing Sing. Silence onto Pycat. Now Tron coming back in. Has the Ravage, but no. Uses the Anchor Smash. That'll finish off his mana pool and won't have the mana to actually use the Ravage. Another Yules coming out. No, this time it's the Tornado from the Pandas. Sets up the Ice Blast. It will be appropriately timed, and the Death Prophet falls to the wrath of the Brewmaster. So at the end of the day, it is Team Tinker that come out ahead across that fight. It's basically a 3-for-1 across the map. They get the kill on the DP, and they keep that Tier 2 tower standing. Can they find Blow Your Brain before he TP's out? What a close call. EGM with the close-range Burrow Strike. Won't be able to stop him, but yeah, now King R gets jumped on by Sing. It's just non-stop aggression across the map, but one thing's for sure, Blaze. This graph now jumping in favor of Team Tinker by a big margin.
Yeah, and they've just brought themselves back right into this game using great ultimates here. The Ravage was pretty much useless in potential because you're going up against Pandas. They're going to nullify a lot of the Ravage's effects. And then Mirana was pretty much elusive. Now they're going to go for the Ravage on mid, but I don't really think he gets anything out of this. Like, obviously, if he could walk right into PGG, that's a different story entirely, but he could have just gone for the River, and I think he would have gotten out. For now, though, they're going to get the kill on him. They'll get the Yules off on Koikwa, and they will be able to get both. Very nicely done.
Yeah, 2 very high-value targets, and they end a streak at that, so we'll check the recap here. That's about a 2,000 net worth swing in favor of Moscow5, so regaining some more of that lost footing, but 1 step forward, 2 steps back as Team Tinker secured the Tier 1 tower now in the top lane. The mid did go down to the wrath of Koikva. It was not denied, though M5 right back on the aggressive. This truly is just non-stop action around the map, Blaze. Moscow5, hungry for more tower gold. The glyph will come out straight away. There's your exorcism from Vigas Pycat. Doing as much chip damage as he can off to the side, but now the Yule's on the Mirana. Does have a leap. EGM's there with the stun. Ice Blast flying through and will not connect on anyone. Sing Sing gets silenced right as he joins the party. Moonlight Shadow used. There is a split available, but PGG with no ultimate, nor is there a Ravage. Won't be the easiest team fight. Off to the side, Tron gets isolated, brought down by the Mirana, but Team Tinker lose their Tier 2 tower in the mix. PGG TP's out in the tree line, will survive, and that's where this fight will end with just a dead watermelon.
Yep, so, I mean, they take the Tier 2 tower in the mid lane since they didn't get the one up top. That's really what they were looking for there, but they are giving a lot of kills away to Team Tinker. 12 and 8 now, even if they find a kill or two here and there, as Koika and Sing Sing did go down, they didn't get to drum away or anything like that, as Moscow5 do have some good pursuit tools. I mean, gotta give them the credit here. They have not only the Shikuchi for Weaver to stay on pace with them, but also they have the Yules to catch up on a hero that has already 500 movement speed with phase active, and they do have the Blink Dagger on the Tide. So we will see the Tier 1 tower get fortified. That's going to take some heavy hits. The Living Armor I don't think is going to be enough to keep it alive. They need more. PGG's here, but they are bringing in Blow Your Brain and King R. Still Siege Creep wailing away, and it will fall to the hands of the
Tower
Terrorblade.
goes down, but now the fight breaks out. Silence onto Sing Sing. He still has the Primal Split. Can they actually bring him down is another question. Blow Your Brain getting in position. PGG's here with an overgrowth. Sing Sing will be the first to fall, and the rest of Team Tinker will mount a successful escape. So M5 lose their tower. No deny secured, but they do grab a kill onto the Brewmaster. So sort of a wash. Team Tinker got what they came for, getting those objectives, and this is giving them a little bit more control around the Roche Pit, which hasn't been a factor yet, but certainly will be as this game continues on. EGM on a solo mission, maybe looking for a pickoff on a stray Skywrath Mage, but will miss his window as King R has already retreated back past the Tier 2.
I think it's important to note the current banked gold on two of the heroes. Now we do see it expended. 3,300 gold was on Pycat. He finally builds up this Maelstrom, and that was a lot of potential damage that is now actually at hand. As well, the Death Prophet is banking a lot. 3,150 could be a Reaver. We've seen the casual Vit booster plus going into Shiva's Guard. There's a lot of ways that you could spend that gold, but the important thing is that she just gets tanky, is able to build up some durability, and is able to deal with the damage coming out from Team Tinker a little more directly. They will have a mechanism coming out pretty soon. The Tide has gone that route, didn't try to turn that Stout Shield into a Crimson Guard or anything. It is going to be the mechanism. And yeah, the Weaver is of course going to find that Lincoln Sphere as we've been talking about. But I gotta say, I feel Blow Your Brain has had a pretty easy game to only have a Lincoln Sphere out of the 22-minute mark.
Yeah, I kind of agree. He's won 1 and 2, and there's been a lot of action around the map. So he's really had a lot of space, and I guess getting picked off once, that slowed him down a little bit, but it's not worth it. It's middle of the pack. He is number 3 overall, just behind that of the Mirana. The key difference here, though, is Mirana's been moving around like crazy, and he's 4-0 and 3. I guess that does make a difference as he's picked up a lot more kill gold, and maybe we'll see a bit more as PGG down bottom taking a lot of damage. Ice Blast will fly through, hits him, and Bulba, he gets credit for that one from across the map. So furthering Pycat's farm a little more. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Ravage comes out. That secures the kill onto the Terrorblade. EGM will go down to the Mystic Flare. So 1 for 2 around the map. Moscow5 will get a nice exchange there and get a nice net worth boost as Koifa just can't catch a break this game, man. He's picked up his drums. Yasha Aquila has those kind of core items, but 1, 4, and 2, he just needs to tank up. Maybe a BKB will be in his near future.
It definitely needs to be. I mean, the Manta style is still very important against the Treant Protector and the Sky as well to an extent, but oh boy, this Bullseye will come out. He'll get the stun, but he is being pursued. They don't actually have a stun, though. The Yule Scepter used early, the Ravage on cooldown, they have no way to interrupt that, and Pycat's home free. But I kind of feel like Team Tinker need to kind of back away from the center of the map. That seems to be the danger zone for them, as Moscow5 have found openings there time and time again.
Yep, Tron has now picked up the mechanism on this Tide Hunter, so with the
Check
Arcane
out PGG's items, though.
We'll have plenty of Manums. PGG, what are you working on? Oh.
Yeah.
Boy. Double mech. PGG. Oh, my gosh. What's the plan here, boys? We've talked about this before. Last time we saw this, what was it? It was yesterday. I forget which team it was, though. We theory crafted this whole thing about double mech and how they have that overlapping cooldown. There's that little window where it has a 45-second cooldown, but you're only immune to it for 25 seconds. So you can potentially double mech in an extended team fight, but not a very efficient use of gold, and I'll be curious to see if PGG maybe tries to just sell this headdress or ends up going into a pipe and a Crimson Guard. We'll see what he does. Has more than enough for the recipe, so at least these 2 items do build into something else now. That buckler's not just totally wasted.
I could honestly see value in both those items. The Crimson Guard is great against the illusions of the Terrorblade and the Brewlings as well from Sing Sing. And the Pipe of Insight's amazing against Sand King and Ancient Apparition. So I could see a lot of value in it, but by deviating and kind of splitting both, I definitely think it was originally a mistake and a miscommunication, but maybe they can salvage it.
Yeah. There'll be a rotation up. They're looking for PGG, but he's nature guised. Now Moscow5 coming up to defend their leader. And Koikba will be initiated on. No Ravage, but they've got a Mystic Flare. There's the Sunder right onto Tron. Takes him down low, but he'll mech it up right away. There's your Overgrowth, and Koikba will go down. Tritada in the front lines actually does take an Ice Blast at risk of shattering here as he takes a boulder. That will secure the kill, and it's a 1-for-1. Nice setup from the Dire side. Off to the side, Blow Your Brain kind of going blow for blow with EGM. And Will Shikuchi through him, no longer ignores those invisible units, but EGM will survive. Blow Your Brain, doing as much damage as he can, still hasn't been able to find a kill. Sing Sing back in Panda form, but oh, big stun from EGM with the Epicenter. Brings down the Skywrath Mage as well as the Treant. Down goes the Tide, and now it's just Blow Your Brain to survive. And I think needless to say, Team Tinker coming out way ahead in this extended team fight as EGM with the turn. Cool, Lincoln stops the Burrow Strike. Blow Your Brain should survive unless this arrow, nope, gets intercepted by the Creep Wave.
Yeah, so it's just unfortunate that Blow Your Brain isn't able to accomplish much more right now. Like, he has a pretty free opportunity to just keep on dealing damage. They're not really focusing him. The time lapse is enough to keep him up along with the Lincoln Sphere. But in the end, he doesn't accomplish too much. They do, of course, get a lot of good damage on that Terrorblade there. He's died 5 times now, so it is a hard knock life for him. But all in all, Team Tinker are taking these fights really nicely, and it's gonna, as a whole, bring Bulba to a whole new level of farm. This Aghanim Scepter is 1,500 gold away, and when he picks that up, the fights for Moscow5 get really difficult.
Yeah, especially for the Death Prophet. That's where she's at risk of shattering a lot more frequently, and that's where the pipe might come in handy, and we'll see the Treant. That's what he's doing. It looks like he sold the Buckler back and now going for the Hood of Defiance. So not completely optimal, but will salvage some of it, I guess about 400 gold down the tubes, but such is the game of life. Shit happens, as they say, Blaze.
Certainly. We do see a couple of wards on the plateau that's on the eastern side of the map, the one that's kind of pretty new. Teams are getting used to it, dewarding and dewarding it, and I think there's a lot of value in what it provides to both teams as far as controlling the Roche Pip. In this case, a double stack of Ancients might be baited in for another kill opportunity perhaps on Koikwa, because he definitely needs more items. Right now, the Drum, the Aquil, the Yasha, it's not going to cut it. Manta and BKB, probably the items you're looking at here. But yeah, for now it's slow going for him. The main net worth holders are going to be the Brewmaster and the Mirana, at least for his side.
Yeah, the BKB now up on Sing Sing. Not going for the Aghanim Scepter. That's a build that's kind of fallen out of flavor. The standard used to be just rush the Ags, but now you'll see Brews going more utility-based, sometimes rushing in Vlad's right away, or the BKB if need be. Mirana getting a lot more scary. We'll have a full Mjolnir coming up pretty soon, 2,100 gold on her. So that's a Hyperstone and essentially just a recipe away. Still the Weaver and the DP top of the net worth chart as they group up in the bottom lane. Will move into this tier 2 tower. Dire have a glyph. They won't use it. Off to the side. PGG gets caught. Some dust is used, and it's EGM that'll be revealed. Caught inside of the Overgrowth. The Mystic Flare brings down the Sand King to get things started. Tower goes down. Tritada moves around the backside of the tower. They want Bulba, and they'll find him. It's a 2-for-0 plus the tower that wasn't denied. Moscow5 getting a good bit of momentum off this little skirmish here.
Yeah, very beneficial to them, and the fact of the matter is Koikva's not farmed enough to really do anything in turn. Like, he's gonna maybe pick up an item here. Yeah, the Ultimate Orb will be picked up for the Manta style, but the tier 2 tower doesn't get a single chip on it. He just isn't that hero yet. Terrorblade is amazing at doing his own thing, and generally speaking, like a really farmed Terrorblade at this point in the game, 26 minutes in, would be able to not only take the tier 2, but start moving towards tier 3 and force the TPs earlier. But Moscow5, they get out to do their own thing across the map and still TP back to defend. Finally, the Ancient Camp is cleared out by Team Tinker. That's going to be some nice gold going their way, but they really are relying on Pycat here to kind of play almost a #1 position Mirana now, because like, she was offlaning, but she got a 1v1 matchup. She was forced to rotate, but in the end, she's still the top of the team. Pycat has a lot of expectations here.
Yeah, and that's a full Mjolnir now picked up, coming on the courier. That'll take all of his gold for now, but yeah, his DPS is starting to get pretty damn solid. Bulba is getting slowed down quite a bit, I think you were just mentioning, and still 1,500 gold away. Blow Your Brain and Sing Sing kind of going blow for blow in the mid lane. Blow Your Brain with a Demon Edge, so probably the MKB, of course, great against the Brewmaster, but it could be a Daedalus. Usually you'll see that crit piece picked up. So MKB, good item on the Weaver, and we'll give him a lot of damage. Pycat looking to TP home, and PGG just says, sorry, friend, I'm going to interrupt that, but then just walks away. An interesting use of the Overgrowth.
Yeah, it's a very nice and very annoying thing to do to a hero that you just happen upon. And the Nature's Guys, he doesn't even know what hit him until he sees the debuff. It's very frustrating. But yeah, in the end, Pycat, he won't get the most efficient route of farm. That's going to go to Quakefa instead, and that will be the Manta style coming out for TP very shortly. I mean, I've actually personally done Yasha into Scotty build-up, so you could fake out with the Ultimate Orb. But in this case, I think the Manta's just too imperative.
Yep. And you can go Manta BKB too, so he'll have the Manta soon. That's at least a step in the right direction, getting those extra stats. And soon to be level 16, so Sunder getting a little more effective and having that super short cooldown. But M5, only one outer tower remaining. They've got all of their cooldowns up, except that of the Overgrowth, coming up in about 15 seconds here. Tron has picked up a gem, so they'll clear out some wards on their way towards the top lane, and they want this last outer tower to try and get closer to the base and end this game sooner rather than later, as Team Tinker are starting to outfarm them a little bit. A very small golden experience lead hovering around 1,500. M5 move into the top tier 2 tower. There is a glyph. They'll probably hold the exorcism and try their luck at the base. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Team Tinker go into this tier 2. There is a Radiant glyph standing. How are they going to handle this? Well, they won't glyph it and certainly won't come back to make a defense. Instead, we could be looking at a potential base race type scenario if both teams continue pressing on, but no, M5 TP back and Team Tinker will be repelled that easily.
Popping off the illusions, getting some nice damage out, but yeah, now Moscow5 are the ones to be spread out, and although they do have some pick-off potential, they can single out one or two heroes, they probably don't want to fight at this current state of affairs. They want to bring the Ravage, they want to bring everything they can to make the fights happen. They are increasing their durability dramatically as they spread the map, get PGG a little bit more farm. Pipe will be coming out very soon. He's actually kind of buying out. He doesn't have the Ring of Health yet, but he just needs that, and he's going to be golden. So now we're going to see the solo kill onto Bulba here, denying him that Active Scepter. Very nice time to find that pick-off, using the Nature's Guys to get the surprise attack.
Yep, and getting PGG one step closer to grabbing his Pipe of Insight. So good kill all around. Blow Your Brain down bottom, getting some more space to farm. We'll have that MKB coming out pretty damn soon here. First Javelin picked up, and about 1,400 gold to spare. So there's your Pipe on the courier for okay, he's going to fly over and buy that last piece once he gets the next 200 gold. So things really starting to fall into line for Moscow5. Still topping the charts with their leading farmers, and all this time for Tron to farm up allows him to get closer to the Refresher. Oblivion Staff already grabbed and halfway through the Perseverance, so still a little ways to go, but double Refresher on Tide is always scary, especially given that Team Tinker only have one BKB, and that's on the Brewmaster.
Yeah, so they're going to be able to find that at a relatively good time, and he's still going to have the mana to support it with some good Arcane boot usage from his team. And they do have to sync it up a little bit. PGG has the Arcanes, but yeah, I think that they'll be able to get a lot of value out of that if Quakefa doesn't just buy out the BKB as his next big thing. Right now, he is sitting at 2,800 gold, so he could pick it up pretty soon, but you have to remember that that only helps him out. It really doesn't do much for his illusions.
Yep. Oh, Mirana finds a solo kill on the Treant Protector in the top lane near the tier 2 tower, while the rest of M5 are looking towards the mid, possibly for a little team fight to break out. Now they may think twice with a 5v4 on the field. Team Tinker making a rotation kind of around the Roche pit. It gets circled out by Tron on the mini-map there, and they'll hold steady at the mid. It looks like they do just want to set a trap and hope that Team Tinker will step a bit too far forward.
Yeah, that Treant Protector pickoff is actually pretty huge because he didn't buy the Ring of Health yet, so he's still kind of waiting, messing around with the courier. Like, he's got no, he actually has taken his items off the courier at this point. He's like, screw it, I'll get it later. But yeah, just with a little bit of fail courier micro, he doesn't get the item purchase in time, and it's going to be just another minute or so before he can finish that out. In the meantime, Monkey King Bar up for Blow Your Brain. That's the damage item he's needed for quite some time. finally on hand, and let's see what he can accomplish with it. But already we see the Brewmaster. He's going for a bit of utility, as you were talking about. The BKB, if he needs to use it to get the split off against the 2 silences we have online for Moscow5. And, of course, he also has this Vlad's, which not only enhances Terrorblade and Mirana's potential right-click damage output, but also gives them that nice positive aura against the Exorcism and Weaver.
Yeah, absolutely. An item that I think should be core against the Death Prophet more often than not. You'll see some teams not really prioritize it, but just a great way to mitigate her presence here in this part of the game where she's kind of peaking. Level 17, that's where her ultimate hits its last bump and really hurts. And you need pretty much everything you can to mitigate that damage and feel safe. Now, Roche taking a little bit of damage. Team Tinker almost teasing them a bit here as they move into the pit. And Sing Sing clicks him down a little bit, now just hanging out, hoping someone will hop in to contest, and it looks like that won't be the case. Pycat doing some Rat Dota in the top lane, will have his BKB completed, needs to get used to that courier to have it delivered, but there's your second BKB, and these big items coming out for Team Tinker to mitigate the effects of the Ravage, certainly before Tide will have his refresher. So, second Black King bar up, and Terrorblade, he's not going to go for one of his own. Another ultimate orb. Looks like he'll just be moving into a Scotty. Will be able to tank up, but still not immune to that double Ravage stun.
Yeah, but I mean, right now he doesn't want to go S5. He doesn't want to fight with this team. When he needs the BKB, he's going to get one, but at least right now he can go for the Rat play. He can let his team fight as 4. He can wait out the Ravage. And I really don't think he has to have a BKB until the Refresher Orb is complete on the Tide. It's coming pretty soon, but not there just yet. And this Scotty would do a lot of work for him. But we actually see him catching paths with Vigos here, and they are going to get the Yules in.
Yeah, oh, M5, or King 5 rather, he's taking the bulk of the damage. Koikva taking a lot, but he'll be able to survive on the back end. Tritada uses the ultimate, now finishes off the Terrorblade. Meanwhile, in the core of the fight, Sing Sing uses his BKB, gets off the split. Epicenter flying through from EGM, doing a lot to the remaining members of M5, wow. Tidehunter and Treant both get dropped, and it's a 1-for-3 so far. Blow Your Brain will be lucky to survive this as he Shikuchi's away. EGM trying to make space in the tree line. Tritada chases him down, and they just can't deal with the Exorcism. A 2-for-3 trade as Team Tinker find the better of it, but not that clean exchange they were looking for. Blow Your Brain, he wants a little bit more. Yule's out on the Mirana, does have a lead. Pycat hopping into the tree line here, but will get chased down by Blow Your Brain, who has another Shikuchi. Tritada will have a Crypt Swarm up. It'll barely fall a bit short, and Pycat, will he live? Blow Your Brain wants this, but now Drunken Haze comes out, and with that missed chance, he'll say, yeah, I think I'm good, and heads back to safety.
Yeah, so Mirana survives. They keep the gem. Honestly, not too bad for Team Tinker. They're the ones in the defensive position. They're the ones that had this rough start, and yeah, they're okay to kind of draw it out a little bit longer so that Koika can just keep farming away. He did go down. They did put a lot of emphasis into bringing him down, but luckily they don't have too many eggs in one basket here. They have some nice farms spread across all their heroes here. Still, he's not going to have the Scotty just yet. The Hex is up, and we've already seen what a Yules can do to pick off heroes. So adding in this Hex on top, it makes it more difficult for Pycat to get the leap after the Cyclone ends. And it is going to be more difficult for the Terrorblade to feel confident maneuvering without his illusions doing the damage for him.
Yeah. Oh, Tritada walks right into Bola, but there's a dire Sentry Ward down. Doesn't matter, still gets revealed. Uses the Hex. Ancient Apparition survives the initial onslaught with a nice Force Staff from their friends, but Gush from Tron as he blinks forward, brings down the AA, and that'll be a 1-for-0 to start off this little skirmish. M5 backing up, maybe thinking about a Roche as they move down to the low ground, and yeah, they'll go right into the pit here. So without the Snowball, they'll feel very confident doing this. They've got an Exorcism in 10 seconds. We'll probably try to hold it if possible. And they may have to deploy it as Team Tinker. They're not going to let this go for free. They're starting to clump up around the pit. And Bulba, does he have a buyback? No, he does not. But now your Exorcism used, and they'll still kind of hop forward. Sing Sing BKB on, goes on to King R, brings down the Skywrath Bite. Oh, Epicenter flies through, does a lot of damage as EGM does live to tell the tale. Moonlight Shadow's been deployed. Tritada with the pipe on will be able to head back. Tron gets clicked down by Koikva with the Metamorphosis on. It's a 3-for-0 even through the ultimate of DP. They're still going to be able to do it. EGM taking a lot of damage from the Ghost as the Yules comes out. Does lose his life, but sets up the kill onto the Death Prophet. Triple kill for Koikva, and it ends as a 1-for-4. Most importantly, Team Tinker completely repel the Roshan attempt. Blow Your Brain, the lone survivor, as he's taken a lot of damage from this Terrorblade, who is now officially online here, Blaze.
Yeah, most definitely. And they're actually going to get the Roche off of this. Sing Sing has plenty of health to tank this up with, and they're actually going to be able to take the Aegis for themselves. This puts them in a commanding position in this game, getting those clutch kills, and also delaying that Refresher Orb from the Tide. Like, they have brought themselves into a very successful mid game, and Team Tinker, we've talked about it, have the scaling heroes. They have the late game, and they're feeling so much more confident after that last fight. A huge aspect of it was the fact that EGM shift-queued everything perfectly, so the Epicenter and Burrow Strike hit on the Treant Protector before he could get the pipe off. That is a small timing interval where you have to have the reflexes to get that item off, because otherwise the Epicenter just does too much damage, and the physical right-clicks was enough to clean it up.
Yeah. So as you mentioned, pipe coming in handy, but Tidehunter, he's not close to this refresher. He's died a couple of times now, and it's really setting him back. Still just the Oblivion Staff, no other core pieces, and only 1,500 gold. Doesn't have that recipe hiding anywhere. And this is becoming the big bottleneck for Moscow5, and you see the gold graph just steadily losing momentum from their side as Team Tinker now with a 10,000 gold and experience lead. If he had the double Ravage coming up now, I'd say, well, maybe Moscow5 can still take a good team fight and head towards the barracks, but without that core item, what are you thinking here, Blaze? Can Moscow5 actually regain enough momentum to take this game?
PGG, what the hell? He's going up against this Mirana that's more farmed than he's seen in the last 3 games, and he right-clicks him once, says, screw you, I got my team at my back. But yeah, no, in this position, it's a delay. At least delay the Aegis. Maybe they can take a fight after the Aegis, but if Pycat is smart enough to save his BKB for his second life, his second coming should be enough to break Moscow5's back. So it's got to be a delay for Moscow5 at least until that immortality expires. And then after that, I think they could try to go for a big play, because obviously the clock is ticking.
Yep. And now Sing Sing going for Shiva's probably. I suppose he could just go all aura-based and just look for an Assault Kuros. Maybe the better play against the Death Prophet, but Shiva's pretty good here also against the Weaver. So to each his own, but either way, a very useful item helping him tank up with all that armor. Weaver now looking like he'll be moving towards a BKB with an Ogre Club. Pycat, oh man, he walks right into the danger zone, and that'll be the Aegis of the Immortal down. Can he live the second time, though? Uses his BKB. The second coming that you were talking about, Overgrowth from PGG, completely wasted. As now the follow-up is here. Arrow will miss, but stun out on the PGG. Secures the kill there. Skywrath gets picked off by the Sing Sing. Tidehunter TP's out, and now it's just Tritada, who even uses his BKB here. That's an 8-second BKB charge to make sure he TP's out. Better safe than sorry, I suppose, but that was a pretty costly trade for just the Aegis of the Immortal.
Yeah, at least they didn't commit any real big cooldowns. Mystic Flare and Overgrowth are pretty quick, and those are 2 support deaths that are coming back up in 25-ish seconds. So in the end, if they're trading that for the Aegis, it's actually okay, but also losing the BKB charge on Vigos means that he, on the defense, is not going to have as much to contribute to the next team fight. They'll have to get the pipe perfectly this time around, and even then the physical damage is going to be pretty legit. You can still shatter even if you have the pipe active and all that stuff. It doesn't matter. All that matters is if you hit by the Ice Blast, that you're below a certain threshold, and with the AC and the physical right clicks, you're going to be in that threshold very quickly.
Oh, Blow Your Brain gets caught, stunned up, hit by the arrow. Ichian gets turned into a piggy, but it just doesn't matter. Weaver will still fall. He does not have a buyback. He just bought an item before he went down.
BKB.
This is a very scary window. Yeah, oh, he completed his full BKB there, yeah. Oh, Ancient Apparition will get caught in the Yules of Vigos. The rest of the Dire team nowhere to be found, so it ends as a 1-for-1 as Bulba gets left behind. But Team Tinker still finding the better of the exchanges. It's a full Assault Kuros completed on Sing Sing now. Mirana with 4,500 gold, so Pycat can just move into another hard-hitting item. And even this Terrorblade, he'll be close to a Butterfly. Actually has the gold to pick it up with the Eagle Song already completed. So Korkva, boys, he made a recovery here, Blaze. He had such an abysmal start. Now he's #1 on net worth by a pretty good bump.
Yeah, and that's just Team Tinker as a team. It's not just Korkva and his rebound and the fact that he didn't lose morale in this game. Those are very important attributes, but there's a lot of it that's just Team Tinker playing well as 4v5. Like, Korkva was not a hero for the first 10 minutes of the game, first 15 almost, but they were able to play us 4 very effectively. They found some great kills via Sing Sing with his early movement with runes, and they definitely earned their way back into this game. So now, yeah, it's a real coin flip here back from the 180 we saw, down lowest GPM to highest, and yeah, that's where I think he'll stay. He's a carry that can continue to use these stats, this farm, to continue to build up heavily, and Moscow5, they've got to be shaking in their boots about how beastly this guy is right now.
Yeah, how do you deal with this Terrorblade? We'll see it in the mid lane as Tritada gets jumped on. Uses his Yules to buy himself some time, but Koikva Metamorphosis online. Oh, Tron with a ultimate on 1. It will lock Koikva down, but there's your Sunder. Koikva right back to full health. Tron will mech up, but now the follow-up fight will continue. Bulba connects with a short-range Ice Blast. King R, he'll get clicked down by Sing Sing off in the tree line. Blow Your Brain now coming in to try and finish off Koikva, and may be successful, but we'll see this evasion not really come into play as the MKB has already been picked up. But now the turn on to PGG. EGM reinitiates, and it's just a quick 2-for-0 double kill on Sing Sing.
Yeah, actually, that was almost extremely costly there with Koikva's TP being canceled by the MKB proc, but the Moonlight Shadow carries them away, and now they can actually look to break the base just as these 4 heroes. They still got a lot of damage coming out from this Mirana, and they have 2 down. The Ravage being the biggest thing. The Ravage cooldown is worth more than a hero, honestly. Like, they could maybe try to hold this without the Skywrath, but that Refresher Orb on Tron has to get out here right now. The Perseverance is on the Courier, it's heading back, and that CD is a must-have if they're going to have any chance of bringing this game back.
Yeah, and there it is. So he's got it up, and we'll have at least 1 Ravage for this next team fight, but a full Daedalus now on Pycat, so his net worth still looking damn good. And now, of course, he is really a hard hitter. Blink forward, long-range stun from EGM, misses on Blow Your Brain, and now he will just go Sandstorm mode. So Weaver will survive for now. Team Tinker, they're not in a huge hurry here. They'd like to break the base if they could, but 20,000 gold, about 20,000 experience. They've still been able to find the better of the exchanges around the map and just farming more efficiently all around. M5 are kind of locked in their quadrant of the base, kind of past this vision line here, something like that. And they're losing control of their jungle, and Team Tinker, of course, have control of their jungle where the Terrorblade is just free farming up with all of his illusions. Oh, mid lane. Yeah, initiation onto Sing Sing. Gets force stabbed back and does have a BKB. Will choose to use it. Overgrowth catches him. He does have a primal split if he feels the need to use it, and he will. Going in onto PGG. Skywrath Mage falls off to the side. PGG will get locked in place. Blow Your Brain and Pycat kind of trading blows here as the Moonlight Shadow's been deployed. Exorcism used by Tritada, looking for the supports, but Pycat coming in, doing what damage he can. The primal split from Sing Sing soon to end, as will the BKB on the Death Prophet. Sing does head back to safety, blinks to the high ground. BKB on Blow Your Brain now expired. All the magic immunity has been used, but Koikva, he's just doing some of the Rat Dota. He's headed to the top lane where there's no tower, no Radiant Glyph, and he'll go for Barracks. So it's just about buying time in this mid lane. Ravage on 1. Pycat gets caught, and there's your refresher. Ravage on 1 once more. Bulba gets left behind. Mirana and the Ancient Apparition die, but Koikva, he's going hard in the base. He finished off the top lane of Barracks, takes out the tier 3 mid, and they may have lost this team fight here in the mid lane, but they'll be crying all the way to the bank, Blaze, as that's a lane and a half killed just from Koikva's rat-doting presence.
Yeah, refresher down, 3 racks gone. That's the least valuable trade you can find, if you can call it a trade at all. They just got so much out of Koikva just having a few moments of free time in the base. The only one with the TP there was the Weaver. Vigas did not have it. And so they kind of had to get him out of the fight first and then TP back. And that, when you're trying to be distracted between defending and trying to make the plays happen with that double Ravage, in the end, you're splitting your forces. You're not able to get either objective accomplished. So they don't get enough kills to make it worth it. And honestly, even a full team wipe might not have been. Like, they are in desperation mode now. They have to look to end the game very soon. But how do you do it? This Terrorblade has 50-second cooldown boots of travel. He's actually running 2 boots at the moment. Imba strat as it is, but yeah, right now he can just teleport all over the map. They've got Creequilibrium pushing in the top lane. Like, they've got to push the entire top lane out, take the base, and hope that somehow their racks survive. Like, they can't do it before the refresher comes up, and I don't know if they could do it at all. Like, it seems just impossible with this much pressure coming out.
Yeah, this is starting to look very grim for Moscow5. Best thing they can hope for is just really, I think it's in the hands of Team Tinker to throw. Get a pick off onto Koikva. But the problem is now he's so farmed that even if they pick him off, he'll have more than enough gold for buyback. And then you still got to deal with these other heroes like Sing Sing, for example. He has so much armor right now. Just jumps right in on Tritada. Does get sheeped, but showing off the Shivas. Shivas on Shivas action here as Sing Sing just harassing him back. And will be okay just to keep the DP busy as it seems to be all about the distractions now. Terrorblade clearing out the Radiant jungle, shoving some of his illusions in towards the base, and they don't even have a tier 3 tower down in the bottom lane.
I want to note that right now with all these items, Brewmaster has acquired Yeah, 46 armor. He's taken about a quarter physical damage. And that's not even counting the fact that he evades 25% of the hits that aren't from the Weaver. So, yeah, he's got a lot of effective HP, and that's not even counting the fact that he's going to be in split a lot of the time. And there does come to a point in the game where you have to consider, is split even that valuable? Because obviously Brewlings get killed off pretty quickly with their static HP pools, and he doesn't even have the Aghanim. So during that time, he can't clap, he can't haze, and I would almost say that Sing Sing's getting to a position where he doesn't want to split until he's about to die.
Yeah. Well, more item progression coming out. Weaver trying to hit a bit harder now with a crit. But Terrorblade, he has a Heart of Tarask, still plenty of gold for buyback, and soon to be level 25. Moonlight Shadow used to start off this fight, and M5, they've got all their big cooldowns, but Sing Sing going in first. BKB goes right in onto the Skywrath, gets a couple of crits to get things started. Now the Ice Blast close range from Bulba connects on quite a few. Tron gets caught inside of the Cyclone. They'll lose their Treant Protector, and now in comes EGM. Doing a lot of damage. Monster kill streak flying through. They lose their Weaver. Death Prophet in some trouble, and that's just the engage that TT Esports were looking for. A quick 5-0. Beautifully done. Sing Sing starting it off with his BKB on, and that'll be it, Blaze. Team Tinker looking strong.
The earthquakes, the ice shatters, lightning flying all about. It really feels like the heavens have just fallen upon Moscow5. They had such a great start, but in the end, it's not enough to beat these comeback kings. The Team Tinker comeback is real. They are. I mean, you've got to remember where Korkville was at throughout this entire game. It was like he started off in the safe lane, dying multiple times. He rotated lanes, I think 4 different times, and then started farming easy camps in the jungle. He was in complete desperation mode from the opening of the gate, but in the end, they just buys enough time for him. The amazing plays from Sing Sing with his Brewmaster, some great epicenters coming in from EGM, and yeah, really a carry coming out from the offlane Mirana and Pycat. They really accomplished so much this game, and man, it is just a sight to see.
Absolutely. So we'll have a break here, guys. That's going to be the end of Blaze's coverage today, and we've got Purge, who should be here in the studio. I haven't been able to get up yet, as we've been straight doting, but there will be a break. The next game starts in about 10 minutes, and it is Virtus Pro Polar versus Fnatic. So sit tight, and we'll be coming right back.